organic produce. But there's a bit of a problem with this study, because I noticed that they only studied a few key elements. What about all the trace elements, molybdenum, gold, zinc, copper, manganese, chromium, all those little elements that we need teensy little quantities for, but have incredibly powerful effects in our bodies. They drive big enzymatic pathways that gives us energy, that makes us contract muscles, that make us think, that activates our white blood cells for our immune system. All those things that we have no clue about what they do. Because really, when it comes to nutrition, we're about at 1650 where surgery was. Seriously. And the nutritional field is expanding they double the rate of knowledge that we have in nutrition doubles every 17 months. That's how quick we are expanding on it. We have no way of measuring all those little elements, but we do know, we have some very interesting studies with isotopes, that if you eat organic versus the same stuff inorganic, both quite healthy, right? That your cells, metabolic pathways, energy producers, lights up so much stronger than it does with eating inorganic things. But look at it this way also. Inorganic is sometimes much more available, and it's going to be a whole lot better than corn syrup, isn't it? Yeah? So we have some choices. You have to use common sense. So when I'm in the grocery store, because the farmer's market's not yet open, and I see something organic that's pretty local and looks very fresh, I'll buy it. To me, it's worth that extra money. But if I see organic and it's shipped from Chile, and it's a little bit wilty and kind of so-so looking, I'd much rather buy the more pesticide-laden produce, which is fresh. I know I'm going to get better benefit out of it. But you do, if you can, want to minimize your pesticide use. You really do. A new study came out last week on ADD and ADHD, and it found that kids suffering from ADD and ADHD had on average 60% higher amounts of pesticides in their body than the kids that don't. We know that there's a definite link between ADD and ADHD and pesticides, and who knows what else. And what if you're one of those really sensitive souls that just seems to react to everything? You don't have the liver and kidney function that some others do. You're going to be even more sensitive to it. This is just a large generalized study that didn't really look at the peaks and valleys on how some kids did this and that. Yeah? So getting rid of the pesticides as much as you can, but don't be fanatic about it. And we have published a list on Facebook of which ones are most important to which ones least important as far as buying organic. Yeah? So find it over there. You'll also on Facebook find the whole thing on bug spray. I hopefully can convince Dr. Stacy to write for us. So organic also is totally different. You're investing in your health here. And that little bit of extra cost up front can give you huge dividends out the back end, just economically. Because poor health is so expensive when you look at it as far as time lost in work, decreased productivity, and really the cost to you and perhaps the taxpayer and the whole medical system by going to some foods that you shouldn't be eating. Organic is also a lot less costly to the environment. If I look at my one cousin, his name also is Adrian Denboer. It seems to be a popular name in my family. Adrian has a really unique farm, and he took it over from two of my uncles. And I look at how he as a Dutch farmer is farming, and man, it is so unique. You don't see the single crop, high efficiency, gleaming machines kind of farm here. But the yield per acre is scary. It is absolutely scary because Adrian has, first of all, he has sheep. He has a lot of sheep. And where do they graze? The true Dutch way, where it's free, on the dikes. Government property, he asks for permission. He says, can I have my sheep graze on the dikes? I will maintain the grass on the dikes that way. And you look at the dikes all around his place, and they're all covered by sheep. Great. So there's a cheap source of food for them, and very healthy. They're outside by the sea air because the North Sea is right next to it. And they're incredibly healthy sheep. It's kind of fun as kid, I would go with him on the motorcycle, just follow the dikes, just to see if there's any sheep lying on their side or on their back, because if they're on their back, they'll die. You have to go up there and put them upright again, because otherwise they can't breathe, and you'd think they'd be smart and figure that out, but somehow they don't. But Adrian also grows grass, and he considers himself a grass farmer. Why? Because it fuels his farm. And he will look at the grass, and he's taught me to look at the grass really closely to see which stage it's at, because he will rotate his cows on the grass from field to field to field, about every 3 to 4 days, depending on condition. Because if you overgraze, what happens is the grass will die, productivity goes down, and he has to start feeding his cows. He's trying to save money here. So he keeps it rotating, and the grass grows denser and denser and denser, because what he does 3 days after the cows have left, he puts the chickens on there. He's also a chicken farmer. And the chickens love growing on these fields, because they'll go to the cow pies, tear it apart, and it's funny to watch them do this, and they'll take out the maggots that the flies, because the flies feed on this, and they produce maggots, and at day 3 about is when they're at their maximum juiciness, apparently. And these chickens will just eat them left and right and get plump and produce gobs of eggs. Rich eggs, lots of good oils in them, yeah? And not only that, but he gets rid of all the diseases and all the flies that spread disease, because most cow farms have lots of flies with it. Not his farm, yeah? They're not there, and he's got lots of eggs to sell. On top of that, when you take out these larvae, they're spreading these cow pies all apart, beautiful fertilizer for the grass. Next time that the cows make a rotation on there, fantastic grass again. Does that make sense? So one thing is just balancing another. This is how he's getting the most yield. He also puts his cows in the barn in the winter. And he's got this grate that he puts them on. And the grate goes up higher and higher as the poop accumulates underneath it. And why is that a smart thing? Because this stuff is like compost. It produces heat. He even puts wood chips on it every once in a while. And that creates more fermentation. So he never has to heat his barns, which increases the output of the milk, because some of the energy from the cows has to go towards heating his barn. Now it doesn't. It can all go towards milk production. So his milk production goes up by about 20% when he does this. Yeah? At the end of the season, when he puts the cows back out again, he's got a bunch of pigs. And the pigs will rotate. He lets them into all this muck, and they're just swimming up to here in the muck. It's quite a sight. You've never seen a happier pig, by the way. But why would he do that? Well, one, he's getting all the wood chips all mucked up together. And not only that, they're picking out all the little larvae and parasites and who knows what grows in this stuff. And it disinfects the poop, the cow poop. Now, because it's been all rotated around and it's disinfected, he gathers it up and throws it on his fields for further fertilization. Happy cows, happy pigs, happy chickens, and very happy field. Does that make sense? Everything just kind of goes together. There's hardly any waste. You don't have all that stuff that I found that happens in where you feed the cows, one of those big stockyards, where I had the privilege of working for 3 months once. But my vote is, with this kind of a farm, where there's minimal waste, minimal pollution, you're supporting a whole ecosystem, trying to mimic nature, and get an incredible yield per acre. And you get this, it's kind of nice to be able to talk to the farmer a bit, you know, that person-to-person contact. When I was in graduate school, I was running fast out of money. One of my student loans wasn't being approved, and I had a family, small family, 2 boys at that point, and my wife and I to support, and I had to take a summer off and do just something crazy to get money together so I could continue on with my graduate studies. That was here in the States. And one of the choices was to build silos, extremely dangerous work because you're walking around at great heights. But that was a very good income for 3 months. And the other one was to work in a stockyard on one of those big ranches in Alberta. So I figured I had some farming experience because my whole family, they're into farming. So I'd go there, and this was a very unique experience because, yes, we actually used some horses to round up cattle for branding. So I felt like a real cowboy. A little bit like a fool, actually, because in the Netherlands, I was taught to learn to write English, the very proper